What? Bang!
Whoa! Wrestling podcast. Just when they think they got the answers, I change the question.
Rep screwed rep.
Yeah.
Woo!
Who are you to doubt El Dandy? Because this guy's a serious professional.
Can he do it? Unbelievable.
Too hot to handle and too cold to hold. And I am Macho King Savage.
Shut your mouth, you thong-wearing fatty. I said WWE stands for...
It's me, Austin. I will never retire.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, welcome to the show where we don't sing it, we bring it. Help us out and click subscribe to show your support. People, are you sick and tired of dropping $60 to $100 for the latest and greatest game? Stop immediately. Go to Wrestler Unstoppable, available exclusively through Facebook. Create a wrestler, get into contracts, get into storylines, headline PLEs, even build your own corporation from the ground up, all included in Wrestler Unstoppable, available now to all Facebook users, totally free. If you want your name in the shoutouts, like my good buddy John in Texas, check out our Pro Wrestling Podcast Patreon page at patreon.com/Pro Wrestling Podcast. Sign up today. Don't forget, we have a loyalty rewards program. If you are a $15 a month contributor, you get to co-host a show with me. And if you are a $7.50 a month contributor, I will enter you into a drawing to also host a show with myself. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. If you got questions, comments, concerns, something you want me to talk about, some daily news story that I missed in the whole feed, make sure you drop us a line at the Pro Wrestling Sound Off line 267-642-1160, and I will try to get to those comments, questions, concerns, or anything you want me to touch on in a future episode. Right now, as we are recording this, AEW has their Collision show going live right now. The show is already off to a great start. We've already seen Megan Bayne versus Tay Mello. Won't tell you the winner because I'd rather you watch it for yourself. We've seen Ricochet versus AR Fox already. There's a lot going on. Make sure if you are tuning in right now, get over there, watch Collision. Great shows. Tony Khan has been putting together some really great stuff like that. He also started the show with a whole conversation piece with Dustin Rhodes, furthering the storyline about him winning the TNT Championship at All In, Texas. So there's a lot coming. Obviously, there's going to be a feud with Kyle Fletcher. That's the natural progression of the story. But there is a lot going on in AEW, a lot of great stuff to watch. Please check that out when you get the opportunity. In addition, got to react to what we saw last night on Smackdown. A lot going on there, too. I mean, literally, the show was stacked top to bottom. It kicked off with Charlotte Flair versus Raquel Rodriguez, which I thought was a fantastic match. I love everything about the Flair Bliss tag team. I love what they're doing with Perez and Rodriguez as the women's tag team champions. Obviously, this is leading to a championship match at SummerSlam, which is phenomenal. And I apologize. I said they kicked off the show with this. It's the first match they did on the show. Of course, they did a car accident angle with Jacob Fatu. Kind of ridiculous, if you ask me. I hate that cartoonish nonsense. I really do. But whatever. That'll be relevant later on in the show. We saw Damian Priest and Carmelo Hayes have their throwdown. A disqualification win for Damian Priest when Aleister Black interfered. I'm not sure what they're doing with this feud because it's like you have four guys between Ron Killings, Damian Priest, Aleister Black, and Carmelo Hayes, and I have no idea where they're going with this. Now, if you tuned into my prediction episode for SummerSlam, way too far ahead of time, I talked about these multi-man matches for guys that have nothing else to do on the card. That's almost like what they're setting up here is like a fatal four-way for absolutely no good purpose, unless it's going to be for a shot at the U.S. title or something. But at least we're seeing Damian Priest in the ring, which I feel like he's the one who is a main eventer who's not treated like one anymore. He's treated like a mid-carder, and that bothers me after everything he did last year as World Heavyweight Champion and all the feuds afterwards. I really just think the guy is higher on the card than they're putting him right now. now, and it's kind of a shame that he's in the role that he's in, but that speaks to the volume of talent that WWE has right now. I'm not in for the tribalism that some people have between AEW and WWE. I think AEW has a absolutely stacked and loaded roster. I think WWE does as well, and that makes it difficult for some guys to get into prime spots like Damian Priest, like Drew McIntyre, and then you look over the AEW side of things like Will Ospreay, like Swerve, when they're not challenging for the World Championship because there's just so many people at the top of that card. Think about it. I mean, if you're an AEW guy tuning in tonight after watching a Collision, what do you think about the top of the card, right? You got Hangman Page, you've got MJF, you've got, John Moxley, who's the former champion. You've got Kenny Omega. You've got Kazuchika Okada. You've got Will Ospreay. You've got Swerve Strickland. You've got Samoa Joe. All these guys at the top of the card. And I just threw 8 names at you to start with. You could almost do a dream tournament with those 8. You could argue that there are other talents on the roster who also are main event level talent. So AEW stacked. WWE, think about the top of their card. You only got 2 championships, and you got people like Gunther and Jey Uso and Seth Rollins and CM Punk, Roman Reigns, John Cena, Cody Rhodes. And again, I'm throwing like 8 names at you without even batting an eyelash. The top of the card on both companies is so stacked that so many of these guys don't get an opportunity. Back to SmackDown, we got to hear from Solo Sikoa. There was a whole thing that went on where obviously Fatu was found innocent. He did nothing wrong. He was questioned earlier in the evening by police, which again I said was very hokey. He comes back. He and Jimmy Uso basically clean house and kick some tail. It was a wonderful thing to see. The next match on this show was Stephanie Vaquer versus Alba Fire. I have a real problem with the fact that someone as talented as Alba Fire keeps getting just steamrolled. It's making her look so weak, and she is one of the premium talents in a division that is also very, very stacked. We keep talking about how deep the women's roster is. She's as good as half the people at the top of the card. There's just not room for her, which is a shame. Same thing with Vaquer. Obviously, she's getting a world title shot in Paris, but really, that top of the card is absolutely mind-boggling. That's why you need tag teams like Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair to give them something meaningful to do while they don't have a shot at the top right now. So, have to wait to see how that stuff plays out. There was a fatal 4-way tag team #1 contenders match for the tag team championship. I actually thought this was solid. DIY played most of the match playing spoiler every time somebody else got close to a win, going against Fraxium, Phoenix and Andrade, and Motor City Machine Guns. I said on a previous episode, Phoenix and Andrade, I'm really enjoying the team, and they pick up the win, move on to be #1 contenders, to be able to face the Wyatt 6, which obviously is going to be an incredible match. I suspect they're going to put the match on SmackDown before SummerSlam, but with a 2-night SummerSlam, I actually hope that makes it to the actual pay-per-view card. The part of the night that was a little weird for me, and I've seen some memes online, and I don't know how I feel about it, the contract situation with John Cena and Cody Rhodes. So, I've said this before, I have a problem with WWE not sticking with the mentality of what they do in their programming. Earlier this year, when Io Sky was defending the Women's Championship, Rhea Ripley came out and inserted her into a Women's Championship match by simply grabbing it, signing the paper, and saying she was just making it a triple threat. And they said that wasn't legal. Now, John Cena gets laid out by Cody Rhodes. Cody grabs his hand, puts a pen in his hand, and signs the contract. And somehow that's legal. It just seems very strange to me that you would do that the same year, only a couple months apart from Rhea Ripley not being able to sign herself into a match. I love, if they follow through with all this, I love that you're looking at a match that is going to be a little different than what we got previously. I think it's really important that they do something slightly different, where you're going to see hopefully a definitive winner. But the match itself being a street fight, I think it opens the doorway to a lot of things. And we don't have to worry about the John Cena stealing another one, hitting Cody with the championship belt or something like that, because that'll be legal. Make it all legal. The word is there's no more Travis Scott interference. Maybe, now this is where I was saying earlier, I saw some memes. If you notice, in this situation, Cody Rhodes is wearing the watch, his dad's watch, which we suspected way back last year that that's what The Rock handed Cody after the Raw after WrestleMania, when he did his thing with Cody after then, setting up a future showdown. Is this a situation where The Rock gave Cody the watch back, and now maybe The Rock is coming for a different soul? Maybe this is where we pull the double switch at SummerSlam, and Cody goes heel and Cena goes face. I hope not. I think Cody is on such a a spree as the man for the company. I don't think you switch that up now, but you still need to turn John Cena at some point. Maybe Cena loses to Cody and The Rock comes out of disappointment and attacks John Cena. Maybe that could be the flip. I don't know. I still think it's probably going to be a double turn, even though I think that's bad for business, but whatever. We'll see how it plays out. Or, like I've said previously, maybe Cena retains. I know the word is that they want Cena and Gunther to be his last feud. It could be for both titles. He could lose here and win a 19th championship, which I'd be okay with as well. But we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. I think, it sticks in my throat a little bit if Gunther is the guy who ends both Goldberg and Cena's careers with defeats. And not that it's not great for him, putting him on a higher platform, but I just don't want to see him be the guy retiring so many people. Speaking of Gunther and the whole, how do I even approach this? The Gunther and the whole Goldberg situation. First off, the word of the week has been all about Goldberg being angry at the way his match went down. He's frustrated. He claimed that they didn't intentionally plan to cut him off, but they didn't plan not to. I guess implying that they should have had an agreement with the network that no matter how long it took, they would stay with television. What Goldberg fails to realize, and I've seen all the pros trashing Goldberg, it's easy for them because they're inside the business. There's a lot of professional wrestlers who have a better repertoire of moves and things like that who are trash-talking Goldberg because he doesn't have a ton of in-ring ability. But if you're being objective, this was one of the best Goldberg matches we've seen since the 1990s. 2003 was the last time he had a match of this length. I thought the match was perfect. The issue is the Seth Rollins injury took up a ton of time, which is why they ran out of time for Goldberg's speech, which is what he's upset about. The reality is, especially in 2023, 2025, it would have been nothing to contact the network in real time when the Seth Rollins injury took place and say, hey, listen, this is a very special night. You're probably going to get a pop in the ratings if you let this run over a little bit. Let the speech happen. You know, we do it for pro football games. We do it for college football games. And I mean that. We think about college football games, cutting off major network programs. College football games don't get near the ratings that this gets. And they still cut off for the end of a game and things like that. They could have made a call. I really think they could have. Now, at the same time, Goldberg did get to have the match that he thought he was never going to have because he said that Vince double-crossed him and all this other stuff. So, you know, beggars can't be choosy. Be happy. And he did, for all the flack he's getting, he did several times say he's very thankful. He appreciated it. I think he's in a better headspace with Triple H than he's ever been in the past, and I'll get to more of that on the second. But I think a lot of people feel like he's complaining when they gave him everything. His whole career, he's been given everything, is what I've heard over and over and over again. He hasn't been given everything. The guy is 58 years old and had to get himself into shape where he could perform in front of the people as close as he could to the 1998 Bill Goldberg form, and that's difficult. The guy prepared like this was the fight of a lifetime. That's why I think it's even more controversial that coming out of the Ariel Helwani interview and other things, he said he wouldn't rule out another match. That's somewhat concerning for some people. They don't want to see Goldberg again. Look, I'll be honest with you. If I saw him wrestle like he did at this, I wouldn't have a problem with it. The problem for him is he had like 90-something people there in attendance that he told this was going to be the last one. So to him, he is effectively retired. But I'm sure if Triple H called for the right amount of money and the right reason, he may come back. Same thing with Tony Khan, maybe. He said he had 2 weeks before his contract was up. He could talk freely about whatever. What I think might be more interesting, and the only way I think you ever see Goldberg back in a ring, especially a WWE ring, is comes from the comments Triple H made after the match. Speaking about Goldberg's son, Gage Goldberg, his quote is, he probably won't be the last Goldberg in the business. He said, I can see the sparkle in Gage's eyes, and he's been very clear about it. If the NFL doesn't work out, here he comes, so we'll see. I think it was an endorsement by Triple H, and I think if Gage were to come to WWE, it would look, he has 2 years left of college eligibility. After that, if he doesn't make it to the NFL, I feel like wrestling is the next logical step. I don't think Goldberg will wait that long to at least start giving him basic training at home, and then he could transition to like an NIL. They offered him an NIL thing earlier. Goldberg put the brakes on that because he wants him to focus on his football career. But I think at some point, especially based off Triple H's comments, we could see Gage Goldberg in the ring. And at that point, I don't think, especially if it's in 2 years, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, not for Goldberg to come back and wrestle a match, unless it was like a tag team thing to support his son. But maybe when his son debuts, you have somebody who really roughs up his kid and he comes out to like save his kid or something like that. I would not be surprised if we could see something like that. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing something like that. I think it would be a really, really good idea. Let's go down some more WWE news. Roman Reigns' schedule in the next couple weeks. He will be there this Monday night, July 21st for Raw, and the July 28th episode leading up to SummerSlam. Obviously, everybody is under the suspicion that it will be Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. At this point, I think it's mindless not to expect that to happen. There are early betting odds out there for SummerSlam. Just to go down them really quick, right now, the WWE Undisputed Championship match, Cody Rhodes is a minus 250 favorite over John Cena. CM Punk is a minus 300 favorite over Gunther. The Women's Championship, Naomi is a minus 500 favorite over both Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. Jade Cargill, the minus 500 favorite over Tiffany Stratton. Lyra Valkyria, a minus 150 favorite over Becky Lynch, which means like a 60% likelihood of winning the championship. So that's like the closest odds. And Randy Orton and Jelly Roll, I can't believe I'm saying that still, versus Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. Orton and Jelly Roll are the minus 300 favorites there. And that's just on the matches that were announced the other day. More matches have been added since, but that's up until the other day. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out in the next couple, 2 weeks leading up to the show. But there's definitely some interesting things going on heading into the SummerSlam where we could see some major shakeup with some of these championships. What may hurt the show is the detail in the planning and the storytelling is going to be slightly off. Michael Hayes, it was announced that in a recent interview, the My Mom's Basement podcast, CM Punk talking about how Michael Hayes just had knee surgery. His word was, so the Freebird's out for a while. Michael Hayes is a huge part of the creative team, and if he is out, I'm sure he could still stay in communication, but it's not the same as being there every day trying to be a part of the product in the way he normally is. So hopefully he gets back quickly, but until then, I'm sure it's going to be slightly different. We did have a see at the What Do You Want to Talk About podcast with Cody Rhodes. Kevin Owens was out last week talking about his injury. Well, the word is now that he did have his surgery. He had his surgery. It was successful. There's a report from Sean Ross Sapp said that on July 18th, he underwent successful neck surgery. He's on the road to recovery, and the estimate is a full year to recovery, which would mean he would miss WrestleMania 42. However, the flip side is, with all the positivity around coming out of that neck surgery, it sounds like he'll be able to make a return to the ring. I just want him to be safe. A guy who's given so much to the business, you want to see him have a nice, long career. Couple of tidbits related to side WWE things. Daniel Bryan in the news this week because he got text messages from WWE asking him to stop doing the yes chant, which is interesting. And he actually referenced this in longer length, and I apologize, I don't have the quote, but he doesn't use a yes chant. He points his fingers to the sky. The fans start chanting yes, but he is not chanting yes. But he got like almost the equivalent of a cease and desist kind of from WWE. They believe it's their intellectual property, which I think is completely foolish on WWE's part to make a big to-do about this. Because in all honesty, I think if WWE had not made such a big deal, as a matter of fact, if they had allowed Bryan Danielson to go ahead and use it in AEW, it might have been like the olive branch to someday bring him back to the company as a member of the NXT roster, helping cultivate the next generation of talent. At this point, I feel like the way they're handling these things is almost burning a bridge with Bryan Danielson, something he does not deserve with everything he's done for the business. Coming back from severe concussions, coming back contributing, doing that whole like ugly brown, like almost like Greenpeace championship belt reign leading to Kofi Mania and all these things. He's done so much for WWE. It'd be really nice to see him come home at some point. I say home like Ring of Honor was home, but whatever. AEW clearly was not. No matter what anybody says, yes, it might be the best place for him now, but it was not his home for most of his career. It would be nice to be able to see him go back to WWE and really contribute in a big way to the next generation. But the more of these little things that happen, the less likely I feel like that is to be. CM Punk also in the news, making major blockbuster announcement previous week. Again, My Mom's Basement podcast. He revealed that in 2018, he had reached a handshake agreement with Vince McMahon, that he had been reaching out McMahon personally to try to talk to him in 2018, 2019. They arranged a private meeting at the Borgata in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And according to him, it was McMahon, Triple H was there. They had gotten to the point where they had shook hands on a deal. However, after the meeting, Punk is claiming that McMahon just stopped talking to him altogether. There was like a fallout of some kind. The only good thing that came out of it was he referenced that this was the opportunity for he and Triple H to start paving the way to mend their fences and get over their previous animosity, which essentially is what set him up for his return in 2023 to come back to WWE eventually. But yeah, apparently there was a deal in place, a handshake deal back in 2018, 2019, right around the time he was doing the backstage stuff on Fox, and could have easily come back then, but apparently McMahon, it's on him for not making that happen. Let's move on to some other things. This tomorrow night, TNA Slammiversary, first off the card. Steve Macklin, Jake Something, Mance Warner taking on the Rope Breakers, Real One, Zilla Fatu, and Josh Bishop. Real One is the former Enzo Amore. He had posted previously in the week that he was planning to show up, or he wanted to be booked on the show. Well, he's got his wish. He's back on the show. He's going to have that 6-man tag team match. That's probably a pre-show kind of thing. The Elegance brand, Ash and Heather by Elegance, are the tag team champions. They're going to be defending their Knockouts World Tag Team Championship against the Inspiration, Cassie Lee and Jessica McKay, formerly known as the Iconics in WWE. Moose will defend the X Division Championship against Leon Slater. Dark State are going to be in an 8-man tag team match. Dion Lennox, Osiris Griffin, Saquon Sugars, Cutler James taking on Matt Cardona and the System, Brian Myers, Eddie Edwards, and JDC with Alicia Edwards in an 8-man tag team match. I hope at some point, because of the collaboration with WWE and NXT and TNA, that it's a pathway for Cardona to come back as well, and maybe even Brian Myers. It would be nice to see him. I'd love to see Eddie Edwards in a WWE ring at some point too. That'd be great. Tessa Blanchard will be taking on Indy Hartwell. That, in my opinion, might be the match that steals the show for the night. Mustafa Ali will be taking on Cedric Alexander. The Nemeths will be defending the World Tag Team Championship in a multi-team match against the Hardys, Matt and Jeff, the Rascals, and First Class, which is AJ Francis and KC Navarro. The Hardys have teased that if they don't win the championship at that match, they may retire. I don't know if that'll happen or not. They haven't officially said that, but they definitely have teased that. And the two matches all eyes are going to be looking at: Masha Slamovich, the TNA Knockouts champion, with her girls at ringside, Zia Brookside, Liang Lee. They'll be there versus JC Jane, who's going to obviously have Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix with her, the NXT Women's Champion. This is champion versus champion, title for title, winner takes all. TNA Knocks Out World's Championship and the NXT Women's Championship. Somebody's going to be the banner holder for both brands. I'm pulling for Masha Slamovich. That's just my opinion. But we'll have to wait and see. And the main event, Trick Williams, the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, NXT Superstar, will be defending against Joe Hendry and Mike Santana. I don't care which one. I'd be okay with Joe Hendry regaining the championship because of the position he's in, but I also would love to see Mike Santana get the opportunity to be the main dog in TNA. I think he's earned it since he's returned to the company. I would love to see that success story, that comeback success story, but we're going to have to wait and see how it plays out. Now, that is all that card is stacked as is. Might not be the biggest news of the show, because coming back to TNA for the first time in almost 10 years, AJ Styles will be appearing at the show. They teased it on X earlier in the week, and now it's official. He will be there, so it's going to be great to see AJ back in a TNA ring. It's going to be kind of awkward to see that. I'm excited to see that. I'm a huge AJ Styles mark, I'm just being honest, so I can't wait to see that. And the last bit of TNA news for the night, Slammiversary is going to have somebody in the back working in the backstage producer area that is familiar to other people. Just at Saturday night's main event as a guest in the crowd, and now back at TNA Wrestling, Jazz has returned as a agent and producer. She'll be helping with the Slammiversary card. It's going to be great to see her back contributing to the business. Changing gears just a little bit, because we don't talk about this very frequently, even though we probably should. New Japan Pro Wrestling's G1 Climax kicked off the other night, and if you are not aware of how the G1 works, there are two groups, multiple men. It's a round-robin style tournament where you score points for wins. Depending on how you win, you can get more or less points. When you look at the card, Bolton Oleg, Evil, Dave Finlay, Callum Newman, Rehoi Oya, Sanada, Tai Chi, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Yoda Tetsui, Yuya Uemura. They're all in Block A. They're going to be in round-robin action across the next several weeks. Everybody faces everybody, gaining points to go on to the final to face the B Block winner, made up of El Phantasmo, Gabe Kidd, Drilla Maloney, Ren Narita, Great-O-Khan, Zack Sabre Jr., Shingo Takagi, Konosuke Takeshita, Shota Umino, and Yoshihashi. Great talents on both sides of the card. So you're going to need to take a look. If you really love tournament wrestling, this is what you want to see. Now, Hiroki Goto and Don Fale were supposed to be potentially in the match, but they have withdrawn before the tournament. There's a play-in for Satoshi Kojima, and then Tomohiro Ishii and Chase Owens faced off. So it's a stacked roster. If you don't know the names that I just mentioned, check them out. I mean, we're talking about IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Zack Sabre Jr., IWGP Global Heavyweight Champion Gabe Kidd, and New Japan Pro Wrestling World Television Champion El Phantasmo, Tag Team Champions, the Never Openweight Champion. It's a stacked, loaded roster. It started the 19th, so it's already underway. It is going to be a great situation to see who wins this tournament. Right now, there's nobody has like scampered away with a huge lead. Several wrestlers with 2 points already, several with no points. Everybody's pretty much in both blocks. So like Block A will go one night, Block B will wrestle the next. So the last 2 days we have 2 points apiece for each of 5 wrestlers on each side of the bracket, and that's going to keep playing out over the next several weeks. It's going to be very exciting. 2 people who will not be at the G1 Climax at all, Tetsuya Naito and Bushi, both planning a United States tour as Los Tranquilos de Japón. They used to be Los Ingobernables de Japón members in New Japan Pro Wrestling. They left in May. They're on the indie circuit, recently working for Rev Pro at their Summer Sizzler. They're in the United Kingdom all the way through July 25th. They don't have any dates booked in Japan, though they're not against them, but they are looking forward to coming to North America. We're not sure what companies they're going to work with, who they're going to work for, what they're planning to do. Naito at 43 years old, probably a little older than WWE would like to have, and he's kind of banged up at his age, but I'd love to see him in the WWE ring. He does have ties to Shinsuke Nakamura, but he also has ties to Kazuchika Okada. So AEW and WWE both are options, and it's the really interesting thing for me is the fact that Bushi seems to be following him along wherever he goes. One of those 2 companies, I suspect, and look, TNA or could jump into the play as well, GCW, things like that. But if they want to really make the money here in the U.S., one of the 2 big companies, especially because they have some colleagues of the past in each company, could really make a play to make a splash with signing 2 incredible talents. A couple last things here. Ric Flair pulling out of the Atlanta Comic-Con, personal and health-related issues. It was recently reported that Ric Flair underwent surgery. He had a second bout with skin cancer. It has not been confirmed if that's what the issue is this time, but he is pulling out of his appearance there. We wish him the best. Get well soon, Nature Boy, legendary wrestler. And the one that really breaks my heart, former WWE and I say WWE, former WWE guy, he wrestled there one night, but former WWE and WCW veteran Buff Bagwell had to have his leg amputated above the knee. Made an announcement on Friday. He was in a car accident back in 2020. And after years of complications, multiple surgeries, if you pay attention to what he's been doing the last several years, he's been a tag team champion in one of the independent outfits down in Tennessee, I believe. He's done things, but he just kept getting worse and worse and worse. So he had to have it amputated above the knee. It's difficult when you think about how this guy, he's buff and he's the stuff. He used to be, just one of the most charismatic guys on the roster in WCW. To see him reduced to this situation, it's really difficult. Some of the stars of the past, the stuff they go through, it's difficult to see. And he's so young. He really is. He's so young, comparatively speaking. So well wishes to Buff Bagwell. Hopefully he's able to rebound from this. He's made the statement that he'd like to come back at some point and really still be able to contribute. I hope he's able to do that. And like I said, nothing but respect and well wishes for Buff. I know there's going to be a difficult time in his life. All his fans are pulling for him, so nothing but the best for him. That's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with us next episode where we run down the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks as always go out to Suno for producing our music and sound effects in our show. Today's show sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bring a new friend to family game night. It's easy with Sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this game from Beazle Games by going to thegamecrafter.com and picking up your copy today. If you're looking for your next career move, maybe you're considering college or university life, maybe you just need some formal training for your next career decision, go to our website at frolifeplanning.com for all your higher education needs, as Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Dr. Fro. I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us today. Until next time, take care, everybody. Have a great night.